All right, welcome to episode 519 of the Grit to Greatness Endurance Podcast. We're your hosts, coaches Rich Soares, April Spildy, and Lauren Brown. And you have found the podcast for endurance athletes who want to train smarter, race stronger, and build the grit it takes to achieve greatness.
Whether you're a swimmer, cyclist, or runner, whether you like smooth roads or rocky trails, wherever you are in the park, each week we share practical coaching insights, proven strategies, and a little fun to keep you motivated.
And whether you're chasing your first finish line or aiming for a new PR, you're part of a community that pushes, inspires, and celebrates every step of the journey. Let's dive in and get gritty together.
This week, we're doing a deep dive on swimming with a lens of insight from our featured guest. This is Casey Arndt. Casey Arndt of Snake and Pig Swim Goggles. Casey's story flows from childhood lanes of open water and open water adventures, some coaching currents, and even a 10K swim tidal wave. So grab your goggles and let's get ready to soak up some wisdom, because this conversation is going to make some waves.
Yes, we've got a lot packed in today's show, including some announcements and amazing news that we're going to share today. We have our feature interview with Casey at Bat, and then our Tri-Dot workout of the week is all about a little different spin tonight on the unsung hero to your workouts, which is protein. So we're going to talk about protein intake and all the great things with that. And then I've got a special segment all about snakes and pigs tonight. So we are going to be breaking it down Animal Kingdom style for our special guest. And she didn't even know what she was signing up for. So let's get started.
Yeah, we sold this as just, hey, come join us and help us talk about these wonderful goggles that make us are so comfortable. And now we've got you embroiled in everything that we do on the podcast. So we're
I
so
wish I
glad
had
you're
like a plastic boa constrictor I could put around my neck right now and really get into the feel here.
I wish I had my goggles on, right?
Yeah.
I would actually wear
hand
that.
drip here.
Yes.
I was thinking we should have all came on with our goggles on. Oh,
We honestly...
Missed opportunity.
I have mine right over here, but
okay, I dare you. I double dare you.
I'll be right back.
All right. Well, let's get into some announcements and news. And first, the thing that we are really excited about this week is that we did announce our 2026 Grit to Greatness Ambassador Team. We want to give a shout out to the following. And what we're going to do is, by coach, we're going to read out the name of the 2026 ambassador and what was their answer to how they define grit. So here we go. I'm going to get us rolling. Congratulations to Paul Hunziker. Improvise, adapt, and overcome. This was inspired by the United States Marine Corps motto. So thank you, Paul. I've got Caroline Young Henry. To me, grit is the ability to stay the course when everything you want to do is quit. It's about perseverance, discipline, and finding strength when comfort isn't an option. I first learned what grit really meant through athletics. Years spent in the pool playing water polo and training for triathlons taught me that success isn't about talent alone, but about the willingness to show up every single day, no matter how tired, sore, or uncertain you feel. I got to tell you, there was 3 more paragraphs to that answer.
We had a lot.
That's the lawyer in her. Yeah. She got it. She has to show the evidence. It's right there.
Right. Yeah.
I love it. And real quick, my goggles are still wet because I swam today. So I couldn't really see through them because they were still wet. So they're going to just stay up here.
You look great.
But I love them. So Laura Applebaum, for her, grit means never giving up and working on achieving goals, especially when things get rough.
And we have Ruthie Fountain. I love to call her the fountain of youth. It literally means grit your teeth, dig in, and do the work. Do it for the reward of accomplishment and fitness. For me, it brings me closer to the Lord, especially when training and races get tough. He is my role model for verifiable grit.
Awesome. And then Alice Kosterich. Grit means putting in the work every day and embracing the journey. Love that, Alice. And Zed Pitts, to me, grit means showing up when nobody's watching, grinding through pain when comfort whispers louder, and choosing discipline over excuses every single time. It's the unglamorous, relentless commitment to finish what I start, no matter how long it takes or how ugly it gets. Oh, God, I love this. Grit isn't about talent or luck. It's about heart, endurance, and the refusal to fold when life gets hard. Whoa. Whoa. And Carolyn Sanders, the term grit is simple. It's multifaceted, all at the same time. The most basic principles involve developing the ability to stick to a task and thrive, learning from failures, and developing a growth versus a fixed mindset that will help propel an individual to success. I mean, like, we could write a book with these.
Yeah, really. I want to give a special shout out to Michelle. She is currently deployed. She is a Air Force reservist serving as a first sergeant. Just awesome. I love the representation of the Marine Corps, the Army, and now the Air Force. Michelle says that grit means persevering through challenges and always looking for ways to improve, even just a little bit better than yesterday. It's also okay to reevaluate your goals and change course if needed, because grit doesn't mean forcing yourself to do something that no longer resonates with you or brings value to your life. Love that, Michelle. And then Sasha Goldsberry. Grit is the capability of not allowing our brain to outride our capabilities. Bravo.
Yes. Veron Thornhill, for her, grit is staying in your head and expressing what you are experiencing with breath, time, and patience.
Love it. Chris Shothan, fighting through adversity, training through a journey with ups and downs. You have to stay the fight and not give up. And Debbie Vasquez, dig deep and get it done. Perseverance, don't stop. Be better than you were yesterday. Put in the work, discipline.
Kristen Keene, it means getting up when you get knocked down, pushing yourself when you don't feel like you can do it, and working through all the challenges life brings us, because there is always hope for tomorrow.
And then we have Dr. Sarah Barr, who is also ex-Army, and she says the tenacity to keep going, to not give up. She's also a cancer survivor. She's just a badass.
She is a badass. Guys, that was amazing. I'm going to check in here with Casey. Casey, where's your motivation, like on a scale from 1 to 10 right now?
Let's do this. 10.5.
Right? 10.5. Let's turn it up to 10.5. I love it. All right. Hey, couple quick things here. First of all, and this is a great segue. We're going to come back. This is a great catalyst for our conversation we're about to have here with Casey. TriDot Pool School, Colorado Springs, coming up February 28th through March 1st. Link here in the show notes. It's at the U.S. Air Force Academy. We're in the pool there at the community center. We get an average improvement of, what is it, April?
It's like 15%.
15%?
It's massive. Yes.
2 days in the pool with us, total of 8 hours. It's transformational. Sign up, and we'll make sure that you've got a good pair of goggles. By the way, we do not want any form goggles at pool school. So get yourself some snake and pig goggles, and you're going to be in them all day long. So,
and they're engineered for that. That's exactly what they're for. Hours and hours of swimming, no problems.
We should make you guys the official sponsor for our pool schools.
Wow, yeah, we should do that. We should do that.
All right. And we've got the Grit to Greatness webinar, Greatness is a Habit, How to Build Yours in 2026. That's coming up next week, December 16th, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, 8 Eastern. There is a link here in the show notes. Please click that early and register ahead. And then we have the Grit to Greatness Strava Club. Join us. It is live. Link here is in the show notes. Can't wait to see you on Strava. And then keep an eye out for the launch of our Velocity cycling subscriptions. That will be coming out in January. So with that, let's swing into the big event of the day here. We've got our feature interview. In place of Ask a Coach, we're going to be talking to Casey Arndt of Snake and Pig. Today's guest has an incredible journey in endurance sports. She started as a competitive swimmer at just the age of 5, carried that passion through college, and eventually found her way into triathlon, starting with the iconic Mrs. T's Chicago Triathlon back in 1999. This is before I discovered triathlon. Since then, she has raced everything from Olympic to 70.3 distances, coached athletes for over a decade as a USAT certified coach, and even represented at Aquabike Worlds in Penticton, Ohio. That's awesome. And
Yeah,
did I
that's
mention
fun.
a 10K in 2021? She's a part of the Snake and Pig team and brings a wealth of experience and stories. Let's welcome Casey Arndt. Welcome.
Great to be here. I'm excited.
All right.
Yeah.
So we are really excited to have you. We want to start and just have people get to understand your background a little bit. You have kind of a unique presence in the swim community. I'm going to lead us off with the first question, and then I'm just going to rotate it over to Coach Lauren and Coach April. Can you share how you first fell in love with swimming and what ultimately pulled you into coaching?
I honestly couldn't even tell you when I fell in love with swimming. I just feel like I've been doing it since I was born. There was an above ground pool in our backyard when I was a kid, and I'm pretty sure my first swimming experience was probably my mom just going, "Hey, baby, go swim." And I probably fell in the water. But I remember being at swim lessons as a little kid, swim team every single summer. Swimming in high school just seemed like a no-brainer. Of course, I'll be on the swim team because I'm always on the swim team. And that continued into college, Division III, nothing crazy. Now I'm in Austin and they have this amazing Division I team with all these Olympians and Michael Phelps's old coaching here, and man, I could never hold a candle to those guys. But when I was swimming, even in the pool, distance was already looking fun to me. I remember doing the mile in long course and thinking this is my sweet spot right here. So when I went away to college and graduate school, I was in Chicago, and one day a year I would see these weird people in the grocery store with these numbers on their legs. I'm like, what is that? I got to figure out what that is. And I found out it was this thing called triathlon that I'd never heard of. So I pulled some friends together and we made a relay team, and that was my first ever triathlon. Was the swim leg on this thing, and so I had to swim in open water, and it was a whole new experience. And fell in love with triathlon that day, but life was busy, so I didn't do another triathlon for many years, and I decided I wanted to do one myself. And it wasn't long after that that I started putting other people into relays. And the dean of the school where I was teaching at that time, she said, you kind of have a knack for coaching. You ever thought about doing that? And that, honestly, that little push is all it took for me to go get certified and start going.
I love
That's
that.
awesome.
So I know you had mentioned that you haven't actually coached in recent years, but you did spend a nice chunk of time coaching. So
Yes.
how would you describe your coaching philosophy that guided you? And what do you hope athletes felt, learned, or carried with them after working with you?
Well, I have to admit, I'm not really the cheerleader type. I'm more of the here's this really hard set we're all going to do together, and don't whine at me. We're going to do this. So it was kind of a work smarter, which sometimes means harder kind of philosophy, which, you know, honestly, my whole training for myself and my training for my athletes was very much about doing intervals that you don't think you can do, that are very race specific. And I was very into, don't swim for fun and just do 3 miles in an hour, and well, not 3 miles, but 3,000 yards, and just do whatever you want. It's got to be structured, it's got to be specific, and you can do things that you don't think you can do when you do that. Even on race day, you can swim hard in the swim leg when you've been used to thinking, well, I shouldn't be out of breath. I should never be out of breath. I should just swim easy. So I think it was that kind of encouraging people to work harder than they really wanted to in the right ways. And with swimming, it was some work smarter, not harder, in terms of technique. That swimming doesn't have to be difficult. you should be able to swim without being out of breath. At the same time, if you swim well, you should push yourself to be out of breath by swimming well, but swimming hard. So it was a mix of strong and hard, and I think I wanted people to show up to get their butts kicked was pretty much my philosophy. Yeah, yeah.
That's right on brand right there, Casey with grit.
I was listening to all those quotes and thinking I am in the right place.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. And that kind of leads me into my next question for you. And I will say for the triathlon crowd, we do have quite a bit that listen to this. Swimming can be often the barrier that keeps people from wanting to try this sport. And it does have a way of teaching us grit, adaptability, and patience. But what is one lesson this sport has taught you that you now pass on to your athletes?
I think you need to come prepared, but on the day, you just don't know what's going to happen, how you're going to feel, what the conditions are going to be, and you just have to be prepared for it to not be your expectations. With a lot of new people, I want them to be prepared to swim the whole swim leg freestyle. But the truth is, you may swim the whole thing backstroke. You may swim the whole thing breaststroke. No one's going to give you a gold star for doing it all freestyle. So you have to give yourself grace to just do what's going to get you to the end. And sometimes you end up in a pile of weeds and you got to get yourself out of there, or you've gone completely. I mean, there's all kinds of crazy things that happen in open water. It's nothing like being in a pool where it's just everything is known. I mean, I've been in some pretty weird pool swims where my cap fell off in the middle of a race and I kept swimming past it as it was like halfway down the pool. It was very strange. But open water is just a whole other ball game. So, you just have to do what you can do. But the more things you've done in training, the more things you put in your toolkit. You've practiced going back and forth between freestyle and breaststroke. So if you've started out halfway breaststroke and you think, well, maybe I feel better now, maybe I can really swim. You've been used to doing those things. You just have more ways of dealing with the unexpected if you've kind of been through stuff in your training. And, my very first open water swim was horrible. I swam the whole way with my head I swam a half a mile with my head out of the water the entire way because swimming around other people in open water was something I had never done before. And open water itself, I'd swum, probably 15, 20 times trying to get used to it, but it was still really unfamiliar. And now, I could go probably 2, 3, 4 years without getting in open water and just go out there and just have a ball. It takes time, but you do get to where you can love it.
So if you have done a 10K, you probably love it. Yeah.
I'm not sure I love it enough to do another 10K.
How long did that take?
A lot of training. I think we had a very slight current. I finished it in about 3 hours, but there was a lot of, are we there yet?
Yeah. Are we there yet? Yeah. All right.
Yeah, it's a long
We'll
swim.
get there when we get there.
That's right. That's right. Thankfully, it was a swim I had already done as a relay where I only had to swim like a mile at a time, and then we traded off.
Oh, okay.
So I was familiar with the course. I kind of had an idea of where we were at. But yeah, that's 3 hours is a long time. And then you hear these stories of people who've swum the English Channel and they had really bad currents that day, and they thought it was going to be 12 hours and ends up being 18. It's just mind-boggling.
It is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Well, you have a lot of experience that you bring to, that you brought to your coaching and now you bring to your current role. How does all of that experience, show up in what you do today?
I think it just gives me the confidence to be able to help other people who are really wanting to get into the sport, but swimming is a barrier. Just encouraging them and knowing how to, when I'm at the pool, sometimes it means I want to correct other people's strokes and I really shouldn't do that. So that's hard. But if someone asks, usually you can give them, 1 or 2 things that will help. And that's the thing about swimming is the better your technique gets, the less work it is to work at that same level of intensity. So it's kind of nice. But I don't do much coaching anymore, but there's still a lot of working with other people and working in teams and still encouraging people to do their best and and just to persevere when things get tough. And I want a friend to be able to say, hey, we were thinking about doing this relay and we need a swimmer, and just be able to jump back in the water and hit it. And I even remember talking to a coach who, the very first time he thought about doing triathlon, had no experience at all and was terrified by it. And he got to the point where he didn't even bother training for swimming anymore. He could just show up on the day, and his technique was so good he could still swim well. I personally still do need to do some training. The first swim back after a long layoff was pretty rough. But yeah, once you've got that, it's not like falling off a bike. Like, you still need to dial it in. Feel for the water is always the thing you got to train. But once you've been there, it's easier to get back. So especially for winter training, I really feel like that's the time that you can be putting in a lot of technique work. You don't have all this pressure to be doing a lot of yards. And it's the perfect time to be working on technique so that you can bring that better technique to your longer distance once you get into the meat of your season.
That's great. Great advice. And that's a great answer. Thank you.
So when it comes to snake and pig, which obviously I'm rocking the goggles. I'll take them off my head now so I don't get like totally stuck in my hair. But I do. There we go. I mean, I honestly, so for anybody who's not watching, hasn't seen our video, I mean, I guess in video it's also a bit different. I am a small person, so I have a small head, and I have always had issues with goggles because I feel like I have to put them so tight. Yeah, where I feel like I end up having the craziest goggle lines. I have to put them so tight. But with the snake and pig, I'm like, they just sit on my face and are so comfortable. But with that, a lot of the triathletes and athletes with Grit to Greatness were already using snake and pig before we had reached out about the idea of our ambassador program and having this really come to life. As a coach and as, the marketing leader for snake and pig, how do you evaluate whether like a team community aligns with your mission and athlete-centered approach?
There are a lot of different brands out there. We are among the tiniest, and we have grown almost exclusively by word of mouth. So we are really looking for a place where there's already some people who are like sold out in love with our goggles. And if one of those is a coach, that's gold for us. But we want some of the athletes to already have the bug, and then they can just spread it to others. And, providing a team sponsorship is just, greasing the wheels that are already kind of turning. So that's usually what we're looking for, because, we really believe strongly that when people are doing things in community like you guys are, especially when you can show up to the same workout, or even if you can't, if you're showing up in these webinars and these other things from all over the world, kind of in the same place online, everybody doesn't have to find things by themselves. As soon as one person finds something great, everybody knows about it. That's how I found the tri shorts that I used, because there was another small company that was all about comfort. Like, hey, you guys, we got to try these. Anytime you find something that really works, that's kind of a niche thing that solves a problem that other people have, it's really fun to be able to share that in a group. So that's what we're doing, is trying to tap into all these little hive minds that are all over the country, and help them help people find things that solve their problems.
Well, we're thankful. So
yeah, awesome.
Yeah, Casey, we caught the bug. So all of us knew or heard about snake and pig through word of mouth. Rich was actually told about it as from one of his athletes. One of his athletes gave him the gift of goggles, and it just was love at first sight from there. So it's great that we get to share that with you. And Snake and Pig has obviously developed a nice following among swimmers. But from your vantage point, what makes the goggles stand out, especially for newer or developing athletes?
I feel like there are so many things about swimming that is uncomfortable. It's there. You already have a lot of reasons in your head to maybe not go to the pool and do the swim. If your goggles are also part of the problem, they just hurt all the time, or you're trying to go to your 8 to 5 afterwards and everybody's like, what happened to you? Did somebody beat you up? It's just one more barrier. So it's nice to kind of skip over the 15 years in the pile of goggles in the closet that you don't use anymore and just skip straight to ones that are comfortable. And some people can use, a $15 pair of Speedos and be perfectly happy. And that was never me, but if that's you, that's great. But if you do have goggle problems, it's nice to be able to just find one that right away that is going to be much more comfortable.
Yeah, what's so great about this is, Rich, Lauren, and I, we all have different face structures. We all have different things that make goggles good or bad. All three of us have experienced amazing fits. I mean, I have some hooded eyelids that make
Mm.
suction on my eyes really hard. So I like Lauren, I would have to tighten down the straps almost to the point of getting migraines.
Wow.
And yeah, and it made wanting to go to the pool very difficult, and it's just been such a relief, quite literally, to have this in my pocket now.
Yeah, and for those of you who are just following on audio, like you're not going to be able to see the goggles, but the key to these goggles is really it's the gasket, and it's
Yes.
kind of hard to get that across without having them in your hands. So if you have a friend who has a pair, just borrow them, because it's the air cushion. It's just this like squishy thing,
Mm,
and it just like you can't tell from the box, you can't tell from a picture, but if you put them in your hand and you just squish the gas, you're like, oh, it's kind of like air in there. And so the way that they seal the water out is not by like suctioning on like a suction cup or like pulling the straps down really hard. It's just this soft thing that's kind of conforming to all those little nooks and crannies in your face. So
And
you can leave them looser than you think you should.
yes.
And, we're not diving off the blocks. We're not, some people don't even do flip turns. Like I personally, I do flip turns and I like to push off hard and they do stay for me. But, you're not trying to go, 100 yards in 49 seconds. So, they're probably going to stay on and then you can just leave them a
The
little
comfort.
looser. And that
Hmm.
helps all the things.
The
and
air
one other
cushion is
thing.
just as I
Oh,
sit here on my ball, I'm just
Oh, there you
thinking
go.
that it's
Yeah.
just like
It's like
having like
the
sitting
air
on one of
ride.
those donuts, right? If you like you hurt your tailbone, right? You're gonna sit on one of those donuts.
Yeah,
It's like a
yeah.
donut for your eye. It's
Air
it's
Totally
ride.
is.
Yeah, yeah.
air ride. There you go.
Yeah.
One of the things that you said just now is how like it's removing one more barrier. I'm like, I didn't even think about it from that perspective before, Casey. And that was, I often talk about like, what are the barriers that keep people from getting into the sport? Just, figuring out, all right, how do I, like, do I just show up at a pool? Do I just,
Yeah.
what have been some of the things that like we have athletes that are listening to this that are thinking about like,
Mhm.
maybe they're a cyclist and they're thinking about getting into triathlon or they're, I don't know, they're just curious.
Right.
What are some things that you have found help people get through those barriers faster?
Well, I think knowing somebody who's in the sport who can just kind of walk you through some of those things is really great. One of the very first things I did when I was getting into coaching was to just give like a 1 hour talk at the community center about what is triathlon. And I literally showed people like, this is how we set up a transition. And I would go through a transition right there in the room and just, weird stuff like that. And, going for like one swim lesson with an experienced coach who's worked with adult triathletes before, not 8-year-old kids who are trying to learn how to swim breaststroke, that can also help. I mean, just knowing that when you put your swim cap on, that the print should be on the sides instead of the front and the back, like just, those kind of rookie mistakes, it's just nice to have someone who can walk you through that, and tapping into a training group or, a coach or something like that can really ease the way. I think that helps a lot. So anytime you can find some community where there's nice people and not just a bunch of people who are like, I've done 18 Ironmans and I couldn't care less about you. That's not the vibe we're looking for. And in general, I've found triathlon to be an amazingly welcoming sport. I've done a lot of different sports, competitive swimming, um, cycling, racing, and it's always the little group that's really going to help you get your feet wet. There's also good books out there that kind of help, but with swimming, it's kind of like, yeah, you actually have to show up to the pool and know how to swim, circle swim in a lane. And like, there's just some things like that. And it's nice to have somebody who can walk you through it, whether it's a friend or coach.
It's so true. I even think like the first time I go to a new pool even can feel intimidating of being like, are there certain lanes that certain speed swimmers swim in and I'm not used to that? And when you're used to swimming at a certain place or with a certain group, you start to take it a little bit for granted, but it's find a nice small crew, like the Grit to Greatness crew.
Exactly.
You started to touch a little bit about talking about winter swim.
Mm,
And so for our athletes, most of us are heading into our winter training where things shift a little bit. Some people might shift a little too far away from their swim training come winter. What are a few simple, sustainable tips for keeping swim fitness sharp without needing to spend the hours in the pool that we might spend when we're a little bit more in season around our races?
right. Yeah, I used to swim at the Y indoors, and sometimes you think, well, it's winter, and maybe I'll just swim for half an hour and then go hit the weights before I go to work. These nice things where you can chain things together. And so, yeah, it's nice to be able to get a quality swim in and not a lot of time. So I think the number one thing is to come with a plan, and whether that's a actually written out workout from TriDot or your coach, or just, a few things that you found online that you kind of like that you rotate in your swim bag. I think that can really help, because honestly, if I show up without a plan after about 10 minutes, I'm bored. I'm like, well, I guess I'll just get out. So you're really not going to get anything done. So the plan is number one. But what should go into the plan? I mean, in my opinion, you really need to just give yourself a little patience at the beginning and just warm up and not have any expectations, because you're probably frozen from coming in from outside and nothing's working, especially if it's early morning. So the first 200 or 300 is going to feel horrible, and just know that it's going to feel horrible and don't worry about it. It's always that kind of like, okay, I feel terrible. I'm going to give it the first 10 or 15 minutes to decide if I want to go on. Just, give yourself a little time. But then, I think since you don't have all these expectations about, I have to get 2,500 yards in today or I have to get 3,000 yards in today, you really do have time to spend on drills. There might be that one pool toy that's been in your bag that you're like, every time I swim with this thing, it really helps me, but I haven't had time to play with it. Your favorite pair of agility paddles, or maybe you're a crazy person like me and you love your Finis parachute that makes you feel like you're drowning. Whatever it is. Personally, my favorite drills are sculling drills because it's all about feel for the water. And one of the things that I like about doing drills is making sure that whatever I'm learning from the drill actually makes it into my freestyle instead of it just being a drill for a drill's sake. So, for instance, if you're sculling, you could scull for half a length, and then the second half of the length is freestyle, and maybe you come all the way back freestyle too, but the whole time you're thinking about, how does the water feel on the palms of my hands? How does it feel on my wrist? How does it feel on my forearm? On the left side, on the right side? Am I actually pushing water back, or am I just slipping? Things like that. So I think, if you've got 2 or 3 drills that when you tried them during the regular season, you thought, wow, these are really hard, or man, I'm floundering when I'm doing this drill. Those are the ones you need in the winter. The ones that you hate are the ones you need the most. So go and do them. And then you need to still do some structured intervals, because otherwise you're just going to be swimming junk yardage, and you're not going to really get anything out of that swim. So, maybe this is the time to do some fast 50s and see against the clock. Okay, if I increase my cadence, did I actually get faster, or did I just feel like I worked harder? Things like that. Maybe it's the time to do 10 by 100 and see if you can hit all of them within the same second or 2 seconds. How consistent can you be? These are skills that are so important for endurance sports. The consistency one is the biggest one for me, and something that I think I just magically learned in all those years of swimming competitive swimming, that people who learn how to swim later, they didn't have all the time to generate that skill. So now you've got to do it on purpose. and being able to not go out too hard and then not go really slow for a little while to make up for that, and then get back to sort of fast and then just peter off. I mean, if you could just swim the same the whole way, how nice would that be? You feel so relaxed at the beginning, and then you get to the end and you're like, man, I still got all the gas I need. My training was for the right distance. I learned how to do the right intensity to get me to the end, and I'm so ready to get on my bike right now, and I don't feel gassed or like I just killed myself, and you're happy with your time. I mean, that's the perfect swim to me.
It's magic.
Yeah.
Right now, all of our athletes should be expecting to see a 10 by 100 show up at some point in the near future.
Actually, if you really want to talk about grit, the worst and best set I ever did was 8 by 100 on 3 minutes. Every 100 all out.
Oh,
And you could even do it on 4 minutes. Like, you could give yourself a lot of rest. But you would be surprised the speed that you can repeat when
wow.
there's 12 or 13 other people doing that set with you, and they're all watching you and you're really going for it. It is astounding. You're like, I had no idea I had that in me. And that's really fun. That's really fun.
Breakthrough.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Casey, I get one more question, and I would be remiss if I did not ask you, where did the name Snake and Pig come from?
So, you know, when you go to a Chinese restaurant and they've got the placemat and it's like snake and pig and dragon and rat, it's just like that. So the two owners are both immigrants, one from Taiwan and one from somewhere in South America. And she, who was not from China region, was learning about the Chinese zodiac. And she said, "Did you know that I am a snake and you are a pig?" Said the very nice woman to the very nice man. And she said, "You know, those have really bad connotations, but we're going to use it. It'll be funny. It'll be ironic." And so that's
wow.
yeah. So they're like the two nicest people you could ever meet. And they have these like totally bad connotated animals that are like their spirit animals. And so they
that makes me so happy.
That's
So
awesome.
if you look
What
at
a
the
great
box,
story.
you can see all these great drawings that Michael, the owner, has actually drawn himself, and they've all got snakes and pigs in them. And when I started working with snake and pig, I said, you know, open water swimmers don't really like thinking about snakes. So maybe we'll lean into the pig a little bit more heavily. So that's why the logo is just a pig.
Oh, that's delightful.
Yeah.
Thank you for answering that mystery, because I was coming up with all kinds of different stories, and I'm sure you've heard them all, but man,
Yes.
when I told Lauren about it for the first time, she's like, "What?" Yes, Snake and Pig, that is the name.
Yeah.
Yep.
Plus it's so memorable, right?
It is, yes.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
All right. April, is that it? You
That's
ready
it for
me to bring
me.
it home? All right. Well, then listen, we got one more here for you real quick.
Okay.
And that is, what is lighting you up right now? Like, what is giving you inspiration in life and fueling your jets?
You know, I'm getting old, so in general, I'm just not as lit up as I used to be. But man, I got invited to be on the swim leg of a relay, and I'm so stoked to get back in the pool, see if my wetsuit is going to blow out all of its seams or not, or it's going to hold together. I don't know. I mean, I can fit into it. I just don't know if it's ready for me. And just hang out with friends and go do a race, you know, like go out of town and hang out with all these gals that I've been racing with for years and just have a good time. And for me right now, it's not about being fast. It's hardly about grit anymore, but it is so much about community. And I think that's always been the part of the sport that I've loved, besides learning what my body can do, which was always something that really got me going when I first got it. Like, can I do this? And then doing it is just like the best thing ever. But the community aspect has always been a big part of the sport. So that's the thing that's really holding me now is my friends and just doing stuff, doing crazy things. It's kind of that that's a terrible idea. What time should I be there? Like that's what it's all about.
Those are the best friends.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Casey. This was so great having you on the podcast, and
Awesome.
I loved hearing your stories and your wisdom. So thank you so much for being so open and sharing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to not be, so it's just kind of me. No filter.
Don't go anywhere. We've got a lot of fun coming up that's got your name written all over it.
Yeah. So shifting gears a little bit, going into the workout of the week. First, we're gonna shout out our sponsor, Vespa Power. So Vespa Power Endurance helps you tap into steady, clean energy so you stay strong, focused, and in the zone longer. Vespa is not fuel, but a metabolic catalyst that shifts your body to use more fat and less glycogen as your fuel source. Vespa comes in CV25, junior, and concentrate. Again, it's less sugar, higher performance, faster recovery. You can click the link in the show notes, use discount code 303 endurance 20 for 20% off of your first order. All right, tried out workout of the week. Coach April mentioned this earlier on. It's a little bit different than a actual workout, but it is something that is the unsung hero to your workouts. That should be an important component. And we are talking about protein and how much protein do endurance athletes actually need. Endurance athletes often hear outdated protein recommendations. I think some athletes might not even think about protein because we're so focused on worrying about our carb intake. But honestly, or the reality is that a lot of athletes are not getting enough protein, and we want to shift that today. An appropriate target for most endurance athletes that you'll hear quoted is 0.8 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. During the off season, when strength training, because it should, you have a little bit more time to maybe add some more strength training back into your training program. It might be a bigger focus. You can benefit from going closer to 1.6 to 2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And as an endurance athlete, when your endurance training, your swim, bike, run, whatever you're working on increases, naturally your carbohydrate intake and your need might rise. And so it can appear that your protein intake is fluctuating, but the reality is it shouldn't fluctuate too much. The reason it fluctuates again might be that your carb intake is increasing. So your overall calorie intake might be increasing. Your protein should not decrease. Your protein is not less important, right? Again, it's that total calorie consumption and the carbs. So there's this little bit of a shift. Protein should never be an afterthought, even when carbs are taking center stage. So key takeaways to keep in mind before we move forward. Protein targets should reflect your training phase, again, because of where maybe your carbohydrates are increasing. And of course, your total fueling demands. But try to, if you have outdated endurance norms when it comes to protein intake in your brain, try to set them aside and be open to what we're going to share about protein and why it matters.
And here's why it matters. Protein isn't about size. It's about adaptation. This is about supporting muscle repair. This is about connective tissue strength. This is about immune health. This is about hormonal balance. Especially for women, strength training, like this is important for rebuilding and your health. So, don't let this be your limiter, right? There's something else out there that could be your limiter, but don't let this be it. This is an easy thing to address. If you're training hard, but under fueling in protein, you may feel constantly sore, run down, or maybe just feeling inconsistent. Adequate protein allows your body to absorb the work that you're doing. It's not the work that you do that matters, it's how much you absorb that matters. So training stress leads to progress, but you don't want to burn out. Key takeaway, protein is how your body turns training into results.
Yeah, that's such a great point, Rich. When you think about from a longevity standpoint too, and making sure that we have the structures in place to support all the demands as we get older, protein is a big part of that. So let's talk about ideal sources and then how you can actually get more protein into your diet. Remember, the goal is consistency and distribution, not perfection. We want you to aim for 20 to 30 grams of protein every 3 to 4 hours rather than loading it all into one meal. Focus on high quality sources like lean meats, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, fish, tofu, legumes, and quality protein powders. And when we say 20 to 30 grams of protein, that can feel abstract. So here are a few real world examples. If you eat an animal based diet, here are some examples of what 30 grams of protein can look like, such as 4 to 5 ounces of chicken breast or turkey, 4 to 5 ounces of lean beef or pork, 5 to 6 ounces of salmon or tuna. And then we have 1 cup of Greek yogurt. Check the label. Most are between 18 to 22 grams. So pair that with a scoop of collagen or a boiled egg. And then we also have 3 whole eggs plus egg whites, about 3 eggs plus 2 to 3 egg whites. And then for our vegetarians or plant-based diets, we have 1.5 to 2 cups of cooked lentils or chickpeas, 7 to 8 ounces of tofu or temp, 1.5 cups of edamame, plant-based protein shake, aim for 20 to 30 grams per serving, and then Greek-style plant yogurt plus seeds and protein powder. Stacking sources matters here. The takeaway, you don't need massive portions, you just need to be very intentional. Carbohydrates may fluctuate with volume and intensity, but protein is the constant that supports recovery and durability year-round. So the big thing here is, yes, carbs fuel the work, but protein makes it stick. Protein may not get the hype that it deserves, but it is one of the simplest ways to improve recovery, resilience, and long-term performance. You don't adapt to training you can't recover from, and protein is recovery. Awesome, Lauren. Thank you so much for this. I love the nutrition focus. That is absolutely a part of any workout plan. And protein obviously is huge in that. And we're talking about protein right now. And I don't know about all of you, but one of my favorite proteins is bacon. So, yeah, I'm
That's
sorry.
Another pig right there. I was waiting for that.
So, Casey, you are coming front and center with us. This is the long sought after fun segment. And we are actually taking a cue from one of my favorite shows, NPR's Wait, Don't Tell Me, which has a key segment, yes, called Not My Job. And you, my friend, are going to be answering all things. And we will join you in this charade here. But you will be answering trivia all about snakes and pigs. Are you ready?
I am ready.
Okay, so this is in honor of the brand name Snake and Pig. I've put together a quiz that includes slithering facts, oinking truths, and things you definitely did not prepare for when you agreed to come on this podcast. But don't worry, Casey. Getting these wrong will not affect your goggle credibility in any way. Mostly. All right, so let's find out how we all do in Not My Job Snake and Pig edition. First up, I'm going to test a little of your bacon know-how. How much bacon does the average American consume per year? A, 6 pounds, B, 12 pounds, C, 10 pounds, or D, 18 pounds?
Oh my God. Those are all big answers.
This is average.
I'm going 12.
The average American. 12 pounds for Casey.
I'm hoping it's A.
A, what's A is 6.
I'm hoping it's 6.
I mean, one slice of bacon doesn't really weigh that much.
This is Americans we're talking about.
Nobody can eat just one. Except Doritos. I'm sticking with 12. It's probably too much, but I think it's great.
Does the average American eat bacon every single week?
I'm not going to say anything. Rich. Oh, Rich, I can't hear you, my friend.
We're all good. So I am going to assume that like this means like bacon on anything. Like it could be like there's bacon in a burger. There was bacon on this. There was bacon on that. We're going to go with, and these are the average American. I bet you eat a lot of bacon. I'm going to go big.
What are you going with?
18? Was it 18 pounds you said?
Yeah. Okay. All right, answer. Rich is correct.
Oh,
Americans consume a significant amount of bacon, averaging around 18 pounds per person annually, with total U.S. production exceeding 2 billion pounds each year, showing bacon's enduring popularity as a favorite pork product used in breakfast and beyond.
And that's not including turkey bacon, I'm guessing.
No, this is this is the
I just
fried.
can't wait for the clips about bacon and Casey with her shirt, and it's
Yes.
just all going to work so well this week. I just can't get over it.
oh my gosh.
Yep.
We
Yeah.
need to have a bacon giveaway.
Forget the goggles. We're giving away
Well
bacon.
played, well played, well played.
Yeah, goggles and bacon. That's a great pairing right there. Okay, next
New sticker
question.
idea.
Yes. Oh my God. True or false? Snakes smell with their tongues.
True.
I'm going with true.
All right. Great job, all three of you.
Wow.
True. Snakes flick their tongues to collect scent particles and deliver them to the Jacobson's organ. It's called the vomeronasal organ. Fun fact, snakes don't have eyelids. They have a transparent scale called a brill, and that is from World Animal Protection. Did you all know that?
No.
No, but
No.
I'm hoping my daughter, the zookeeper, did.
I
so
was
I'm
thinking
sure.
about
Right.
Morgan. I was thinking about Mo when I was putting this together, Rich, honestly. So I hope she loves this. All right. Number 3. Which of the following is not true? Not true about pigs. A, pigs cannot sweat. B, pigs are smarter than dogs. C, pigs are solitary animals. And D, pigs have excellent memories.
I'm going with solitary.
As the not true.
That's the not true.
I'm going with that they don't sweat.
I'm with you, Casey. I think it is that they are not solitary. I think they're very social.
Yep, Rich and Casey take this one. Pigs are very social animals and they prefer groups, according to the BSSPCA. As another fun fact for you both, pigs can recognize their own names and respond to human cues.
Wow.
That I believe. I know people who own pigs as pets.
They're
Yeah,
very
they're,
smart.
they're
They're
popular
like dogs.
pets,
Yeah.
as we led off with bacon.
You can't eat your pets.
Yes, oh my gosh. Okay. All right. Number 4. What percentage of snake species are venomous? A, about 10%, B, about 25%, C, about 50%, or D, nearly all?
I'm going 10%.
That's what I was thinking. More so because I'm like hopeful that it's 10% because that'll just make me feel better.
God, I feel like it's like half of them. I don't know. 50%.
Okay, this one I got all three of you. I stumped you. It's roughly 25% of snake species that are venomous.
Hmm.
And another fun fact, some snakes give live birth instead of laying eggs.
Ooh.
Could you
Interesting.
imagine that?
Must be weird to see.
Yeah. A lot of
I don't want
slithering.
to watch it. I don't want
The visuals. Thank you.
to. Yeah, don't.
I'm picturing it like this.
I'm out.
Ooh. All right. Last one here. We're all doing pretty good here, okay? What feature allows snakes to swallow prey much larger than their own head? Is it A, flexible scales, B, expandable skin, C, hinged lower jaws, or D, extra stretchy lungs?
I'd have to say C. Just unhinging. Oh, I think I'm unhinging, but you said hinged. I don't know.
You said
Unhinged, sorry. Unhinged. Like
yeah.
in,
Yeah.
like
it
in
can
hinge
just-
and unhinge.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going with
I'm
the same
C.
thing. I can't
This
imagine their
whole-
lungs have something to do with it. So C.
This whole episode is unhinged. It's unhinged.
Perfect.
You all are correct. It is unhinging their lower jaw. It lets snakes open wide and swallow their large prey whole. That is from the Nature Conservancy. Fun fact, They can dislocate their jaw, but they don't, it's not actually unhinging them. That's why it says hinged
Mm,
lower jaw. They can
okay.
they can dislocate it. Woo! All right. How do y'all feel about that trivia tonight?
That was fun.
Bravo.
Well, I always
Way to bring it.
Well, that is a bacon wrap on Not My Job, Snake and Pig edition. Whether
Yeah.
you ace that trivia or learn that pigs are smarter than we give them credit for and snakes don't blink, we can all agree on one thing. None of this will help you design better goggles. But it did make us laugh. So, Casey, thank you for being such a good sport and playing along. You've officially passed the most important test of all, being willing to have fun on this podcast.
Awesome. Thank you. It was fun.
Yes. Again, thank you for spending time with us today on the Grit to Greatness Endurance podcast.
Well, thanks for inviting me, and thanks for being such great fans of the goggles. We really appreciate it. So tell a friend.
Awesome. Folks, thanks for spending time with us today on the Grit to Greatness Endurance podcast.
Your support means everything, and we're honored to be part of your endurance journey. If you enjoyed this episode, especially as much as we did, please follow us on Instagram at Grit to Greatness Endurance and leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts. It does help us reach more athletes like you.
And of course, stay gritty, train smart, and keep chasing greatness. We will see you all next week.